Welcome to a brand new episode of the Bold Take Podcast. I'm Austin Hill. With me, as always, Austin Wader. And yes, for the first time in 3 weeks, I nailed the intro completely correctly. Didn't mess up anybody's names. That's how
He's
you know I'm
locked
back.
in today, ladies and gentlemen. He is locked
I'm
in.
I'm ready to go today. So, look, we're back talking college football action. Fortunately, no crazy coaching firings, no crazy coaching arrests have taken place in college football. And that means we just get to talk about the sweet, sweet game of football this week.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've been begging for that for a while. It's obviously no update on the Michigan job. And I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't think there will be an update on that job until next week. I'm going to be honest with you because
Yeah.
I think the folks in Ann Arbor are looking to see how a certain game on Friday night goes before they swing in with a big deal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, agreed. And you got to think about what guys at Michigan might start to kind of open their minds up about where they're going to go coming into after the aftermath of that game as well. But look, let's talk about these bowl games, and then of course we'll get into that college football playoff picks closer to the end of this episode. But let's start with tomorrow's action. I know there's a couple games tonight, but we're going to go ahead and start with the one game we've got tomorrow. The brand new and taking the place of the Bahama Bowl for the year. We've got the Xbox Bowl at Ford Center in Frisco, Texas, between the Missouri State Grizzlies and the Arkansas State Red Wolves.
Yes.
I think it's Grizzlies.
As far as I know, I believe it is Grizzlies as well, or Bear. No, it's Bears. Bears. That's
Is
what
it
it is. It's
Bears?
Bears. I think I'm thinking of Montana, where
Montana?
I thought they were the
Yeah.
Bears, but they're the Grizzlies. Actually, I think that's what was mixing me up there. But yeah, this is intriguingly the only team in Division One that made it to the postseason from the state of Arkansas. Fun fact. So congrats to Arkansas State on it. Let's give Coach Butch Jones credit where credit's due. He's in his third consecutive bowl game at Arkansas State in a season where the expectations were really high for them. Hasn't really been that promising. But you want to talk about a team that had low expectations entering year. How about Missouri State? First year in FBS. We didn't know how that was going to play out for them. And ultimately ended with a 7-5 season. And because of so many teams opting out, one of the good things of all those teams opting out, Austin, is we'll talk about the other in a second. But Missouri State being a first year team, getting to play in a bowl game in the first year. So I think that's awesome to see. Plus, I also love that each player on each team was given an Xbox earlier this week to prepare for the game.
Yeah, and not just an Xbox, the new portable Xbox that's going to
Yeah.
compete kind of with your Nintendo Switches and your Steam Decks and such. If you're in on the gaming console lore and the wars that go on between trying to get the most popular console. So yeah, I think that was pretty cool and pretty awesome. Look, just to make it short and sweet, like you said, awesome for Missouri State what they've done uh, in their first season in FBS. They come with this, probational period of coming up
Yeah.
from playoff play. And we're starting to see, I think, more and more that maybe that concept of this probational period is a little bit outdated. Um,
Very.
we saw how quickly James Madison was successful coming up a few years ago. We see now how quickly Missouri State and the other team we'll talk about here in just 1 second were with coming up in these bowl games. Uh, I think we need to go ahead and start having the conversation. I know neither of these teams this year were in the college football playoff contention, but I think conversation needs to be had that get rid of this probation.
Yes.
James
Absolutely.
Madison was an undefeated team a couple years ago and wasn't going to have a chance at the college football playoff no matter how you sliced it. I just think it's kind of clearly an outdated concept. And look, if you're one of those Power Four purists, you don't like college football, go watch the NFL. If that's what you're
Hmm.
really about, go watch the NFL because
Exactly.
clearly that's all you care about. Um, but you're also just wrong. Um, I think that people are going to be very sorely surprised. Again, look, the conversation coming from last year's college football playoff, nobody talked about all the blowouts in the first round. And nobody after the first round of last year said, man, Clemson should never go to the college football playoff again because they got routed uh, in the first round. Nobody said that, and that's because it doesn't make any sense. Your logic doesn't make any sense. Sometimes teams are just better. Sure, that's the case sometimes, but that doesn't mean that the best teams don't deserve a chance to play. You shouldn't lose 3 games and go to the college football playoff at Alabama. I'm just going to stand by that. When you're only putting 12 teams in there, 3 losses doesn't cut it. Um,
Absolutely.
but in this game, look, I'm going Red Wolves. I'm a Red Wolf, so I'm going to ride with my team and hope that they can pull it off and get over that 500 season and finish with a winning record in the Xbox Bowl.
All right. For me, the way I see it, it's weird because both these teams have played in a lot of one score games this year. If you've followed them this season, they played in a lot of one score games. I don't know what it is. I think Missouri State's passing game is going to be the difference in the game. Their senior quarterback, Jacob Clarks, have been very solid for them. I'm going to lean on him, and I'm going to lean on the Missouri State Bears to finish off year one in FBS with a win in the Xbox Bowl.
I love to see it. Love to support them. Then we've got the 68 Ventures Bowl. 2 6-6 teams clashing. We've got Louisiana and Delaware. And Delaware, look, that's that other team we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
In Conference USA, comes up their first year in FBS, and they're bowl bound at 6-6. What do you think's going to happen in Mobile tonight at
Uh,
7:30?
Yeah, that's an intriguing one for both sides. Again, Louisiana's been, when you look at the stats in every single year for Louisiana, I think I saw like they've been to a bowl game or something like 7 out of the last 8 years, or like 8 years in the last 8 years. Like they've been one of the most consistent programs in all of Division One. As wild as it is to say for it, they are one of the most consistent ones. And like I said, Delaware's been a
Yeah.
fun story. I'm gonna lean with Louisiana in this game, and my reasoning for that is they have had such a balanced rushing attack this year. I really love the story, and plus they have a great quarterback play when it comes to running the ball too. I just think their running game might be able to overpower Delaware a little bit in this one, and I think they'll get the win in Mobile.
I'm going to go with the Blue Hens in this one. I kind of like the season that they've had. I've been impressed with their success. I've been impressed with what they were able to do this season, especially early. Um, and so I'm going to go with the Blue Hens in this
Uh,
ball game.
well, I forgot quarterback's name. I've been wanting to say it, but I forgot what it was off the top of my head. I had to search it. The Louisiana quarterback, Lunch Winfield. That's what his name
Lunch
was. I
Winfield.
knew I knew that. I knew I loved his name for some reason. That's what it was.
Um, Swinging over to the Myrtle Beach Bowl Friday at 10 a.m. Tuning in early. But this is
Rise
a
and
great game.
shine.
I hate that this game's at 10 a.m. because this is going to be a great game. The Kennesaw State Owls, champions of Conference USA, take on the MAC champs of Western Michigan, who sit at 9-4 in the Myrtle Beach Bowl in Conway, South Carolina. Man, I think this is actually going to be a really fun game. Again, I
I
hate that
think
this is
so.
at 10 a.m. because this is two really good teams, two really good squads facing off.
Yeah, I think to me this is probably, and when you look at all the top early bowl matchups, this is probably the top one to me at least. This is one I kind of wish it won at 10 a.m. Wish it was in prime time. How about Kennesaw State
Yeah.
keeping Jerry Mack around on a contract extension so he ain't leaving? How about that's good for them to see.
Yeah.
Lance Taylor at Western Michigan obviously when their conference was good. That Western Michigan defense might be the difference in the game with how good they've been this year. I forget what it was, the official number, but I think they were like top 20 in points allowed this season at Western Michigan. So the defense has been solid, but Kennesaw State's been really good in close games. So I think this will be a close game. And to my new buddy who liked my tweets about him last week, Amari Odom, this is for you. I'm picking Kennesaw State to win the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Yeah, I'm going with Kennesaw State. Kind of an awesome turnaround they've had this year, going 10-3. I like their vibe. I like their momentum. I'm gonna root for them to win this ball game. We've got the Gasparilla Bowl, Raymond James Stadium, Tampa Bay, Florida, 1:30 on Friday. Memphis Tigers taking on the NC State Wolfpack. What are your thoughts on this one? Two intriguing teams kind of coming into this matchup.
Yeah, the way these teams ended their seasons was just kind of rough for one and for the other. I mean, for Memphis, obviously, let's say the big thing going into this game, obviously, no Ryan Silverfield there. A couple players entered the portal. So, not even close to 100% of the roster you've had this year. So, you look at NC State, they finished the year strong. Dave Duran, he's one of my favorite underrated coaches. He's not an elite level coach, but he's going to get you no matter what 7, 8, sometimes 9 wins in a season at NC State. No matter what, they will consistently be a good team. It won't be where they'll have a down year. Their down year was this year at 7-5. So it's not a bad down year for some people. So for that reason, I think with the more consistency and having him and the staff there and their quarterback CJ Bailey in this offense, I'm going to pick NC State to win this by double digits, probably just because Memphis doesn't really have a lot of the pieces there. Although Charles Huff, the former Southern Miss coach, going to be the new one in Memphis, he is going to do great things at Memphis, especially if he can keep on doing what he was doing in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, in this game, I know a lot's changed for Memphis, but I like the Tigers that are still there to come out swinging and go down swinging on a season that didn't go exactly the way they expected. I like NC State, but I think Memphis can come out here and get a big win, even a little bit undermanned in this one.
All right.
Our last game on Friday night, 7 o'clock. Number 9 Alabama heads into Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Sooners in the first game of this year's college football playoff. We'll get to see a rematch of a game played a couple weeks ago. Can the Tide right the ship? I think the big thing to look at in this game, Alabama, Oklahoma, when they met in the regular season, there was a lot of pressure on Ty Simpson. Stop the run, get Tyler Simpson hurried. And then from that point, the Oklahoma defense made a lot of plays, even though the offense struggled. We wondered how Alabama might adjust to that. Georgia took that same game plan and applied it pretty perfectly in the SEC championship. So a team like Alabama kind of been plagued as of late by these fierce and aggressive defensive lines and defenses in general. They're going to clash again with Oklahoma. Do you think maybe they can make some adjustments, or do you think we'll see more of the same in the first matchup and what we saw in the SEC championship?
Well, you think about that first matchup and you go look at the numbers, and I mean, we said it word for word on here the next week, recapping it. Alabama had 406 yards of total offense, Oklahoma 212. Bama had 11 more first downs in the game than Oklahoma did. So you look at those stats, you think, man, Bama handled business against them. But it was 3 turnovers that truly end up being costly. And I will say something. I actually went back to looked at highlights from the game to kind of build on it and talk about it. The field positioning for Alabama in this game was just terrible. I don't think they started to drive past their own 30. Like the field positioning, they had to go 80 yards no matter what. So that made it extremely tough for them. All the turnovers as well. And so you think, oh, they'll be fine. They just got to avoid the turnovers. They can beat OU. But you watch this Bama offense nowadays, and ladies and gentlemen, with it not being 100% healthy, it is hard to watch, to say the least. It is hard to watch. So, not going to lie to you. I expect this to be ugly. Honestly, 40.5 might be too many points in this one. This really comes down to who has the big, as I've heard people even say, the big play, the cat buster plays, the big 20-yard plays. Whichever team does that the most in this one, I think will win the game. And the one that's been doing that better as of late, I think is Oklahoma Sooners. I'm not saying their offense is amazing or anything, but I think, especially when you look back to the game last year in Norman and the game this year, when these two teams get together, the Bama offense the struggles are immense in this one. So this screams a 13-10 final that Oklahoma somehow sneaks it home.
Yeah, Oklahoma's key to this game, I think, is keeping it close like they did last time. I think the ball's in their court. They get this game at home. They've beat Alabama once in the regular season. They've got the film there. They saw what it took just 2 weeks ago to beat Alabama in the SEC championship. Looks, again, scarily similar to what they did to kind of disrupt this Alabama offense. Of course, like you said, offense still had a lot more success in the game for Alabama than it did against Oklahoma. Or than it did against Georgia, sorry. But still, I mean, I think the game plans were very similar. and the turnovers were the big difference. I don't know if Oklahoma forces 3 turnovers in this game, but Brent Venables didn't forget how to call a defense overnight. That's
Right.
something we can say about his tenure at Oklahoma that's been consistent is the defense has been good. It stayed good this season. I expect it to continue to stay good. I'm not saying Alabama can't keep it close, but I think Oklahoma has all the keys that they need to win this game. I like the Sooners to take this one. And kind of like you said, a 13-10 final just feels right about this
I mean,
game.
it just screams like maybe one touchdown here or another one there.
Yeah,
Like like again, I'm calling basketball on Friday night when this is going on, but I'll have it on. I will probably bet the under 40 and a half because I really do not see 40 points being scored in this game.
I'm with you there. Look, then on Saturday, we have got ourselves 3 more college football playoff games. And boy, we've got some more treats in this one. Starting off at 11 a.m. at Kyle Field, College Station. We've got Miami taking on Texas A&M and the We Beat Notre Dame Bowl, as I'm affectionately calling it. These two teams will get to clash and see which one's game really mattered against Notre Dame. That's the stakes in this game that I'm taking from it. Whose win against Notre Dame really mattered? I guess technically it's Miami's because it's what got them into the college football playoff. Um, but with these two teams clashing, it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what both these teams are capable of. And look, I think coming into this, if this was a game being played and Texas A&M had just won their last game of the season and gone to the SEC championship, of course that didn't happen. And had that happened, we might be talking about Texas A&M as a bye team. But of course that
Yeah.
didn't happen. But had circumstances been a little bit different in this game, I might be talking about Texas A&M rolling in this game. But obviously, we saw the kind of issues that Marcel Reed can have sometimes, and we saw them take over in this game, in their final game of the regular season. So that's something to think about in this game. Of course, it's not the first time we've ever seen Marcel Reed have a bad game. He had a rough start to the South Carolina game, but he bounced back from that. Just was no bounce back against Texas at the end of the season. But interested to see your thoughts as these two teams kind of clash and maybe the biggest swing in momentum for these two teams because, like I said, A&M might have been expected to roll in this game had it not been their result 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, how differently the world of college football can change in just a span of a week or two. I will say this: Kyle Field is always electric, and that will help A&M in this first round game. But man, Miami got off so lucky the way the schedule worked out that they got an 11 a.m. kickoff here. I'm not saying it won't be electric, but Kyle Field at night, Austin, I think you can attest to this. That's a different level, especially in a game, in a college football playoff game. That'd be a different level. I mentioned it last week on the live stream reacting to it. This is most intriguing because both teams, I think, have solid defensive units. Everything matches well. The great wide receiving core for both teams. The uncertainty is both teams' quarterbacks. Are we going to get which Marcel Reed are we going to get? Are we going to get first half against South Carolina Marcel Reed or second half against South Carolina Marcel Reed? And then
Yeah.
Carson Beck. Are we getting the Carson Beck who was efficient against Notre Dame and everyone started the year? Or are we going to get the one that struggled against Louisville with interceptions, struggled against SMU with interceptions? That literally it will come down to who is the more consistent quarterback in the matchup because A&M has shown they can win any way possible. Their defense has not been consistent, but when it needs to lock in, it can. And Miami's been phenomenal as well on defense. And man, I tell you what, this is like probably a flip of the coin for me. I mean, I really don't know what it is, but you look at it for A&M, if they win this game, Austin, just think the next round is the Cotton Bowl in Dallas against Ohio State. So you're talking about not even having to leave your home state if you win this game at home. That being said, I don't know what it is. I have bought into this Miami defense all year. That's always impressed me. I don't know what it is. Again, like it's really a coin flip. This could come down to like a game winning field goal or something. But in the end, I think Hurricane defense gets a late takeaway and they sneak out of A&M with a win. But I have no strong feel on this game whatsoever. But I'm going to lean with the team that I think has the better defense of the two since the quarterback play really so consistent. I think the better defense is Miami.
Look, I think we've kind of seen uh, Texas A&M humanized, and I think that makes this game closer, in my opinion. And I'm certainly with you that anybody can win this game. We've seen what these teams are capable of. But I'm going to go with this. The big thing you talked about, Texas A&M can win in any way. And I think that's what's been so big for this team, is they don't just do it one way. They can do it any way. They can play you a gritty, sloppy game, whether it's playing against Notre Dame and their grueling defense on the road, or it's being on the road against South Carolina and having a sloppy start and being down big, having the fans cheering, having Shane Bieber running off the field, hyping the fans up, even though nobody was celebrating going into the locker room, as he put it. Um, but to come back and have this awesome electric victory, I think it's so hard to count this Texas A&M team out of football games. I just don't think I can say the same thing about Miami. When the going gets tough, I don't think Miami is a team that's necessarily built to make a comeback. And I'm not saying the going will get tough. The game will get
Right.
out of hand. I think this game will be played close, but I just think there's more resilience in the Aggies. And my big thing is, I think, sure, Marcel Reed's had his games where he can get sloppy and have his issues. But I think the big thing to me is Carson Beck started the season so strong, and then we saw him kind of regress back to the mean of the Carson
Mm.
Beck we saw for the last 2 years at Georgia. And to me, it's not like, oh, this is an every so often thing like it is for Marcel Reed. Every couple of games, Marcel Reed maybe just comes out and has a bad game. For Carson Beck, when he gets into these slumps, he kind of slumps hard and he starts to make a lot of mistakes. It feels like almost he tries to force things in there to try and make up for mistakes he's made in the past, and then make up for mistakes he's made over the course of the game. I like Carson Beck. I think he's a great quarterback, but I think his decision making after making a mistake or after missing a throw, he wants to go out there and get it back. It's that competitive nature. And for some guys, it's a little less controllable. I think he just has that issue with trying to take the big shots, trying to make the big plays, even when they're not always there. I like this Texas A&M defense to make the big plays. I'm going to go with the Aggies in this ball game.
Okay.
Then
All right.
we'll take it down to Oxford for a rematch between Tulane and Ole Miss in the college football playoff. These two teams are going to clash at 2:30 on TNT. I'm excited for this game. I'm excited to see what happens. These two teams getting a second chance. I'm interested to see how Ole Miss handles this, because if Ole Miss comes out and they play bad and I think even just a loss in general, no matter the score, might make the college football playoff committee for however much longer we have a committee filled with guys filling out our playoff bracket, which I hope is not much longer.
Mm-hmm.
But for as long as we do have that, it might bring these guys the thoughts about, do we let teams that lose their head coach enter the college football playoff, even if they're worthy? Because I think there's a world where a lot of those guys don't think Tulane is up, to the task of playing against Ole Miss at their best. So they might think, oh, you lost to Tulane because you didn't have Lane Kiffin. I think really the more reasonable answer would be if they got blown out in this game. I think we should stop acting like Tulane's a nobody school. But I think there's going to be a conversation to be had if Ole Miss loses this game about what we do about teams losing their head coach and not coaching the college football playoff. I don't think it's a situation we'll see very often in this college football playoff era, but it's happened once, and it's going to be an interesting conversation. It's going to get teams kind of thinking about how they handle their coaches. And do you risk the coach maybe giving his pitches about the transfer portal if that means you get to play in the college football playoff? But outside of that, I think this is going to be an awesome clash. I think we're going to see Tulane playing much better football at this point in the season. I think we're going to see a much different result than we saw earlier this season.
Yeah, obviously, I think Ole Miss won that first game by what, like 30, 35 points, somewhere in there. But that was back in friggin' September. But like I said, totally different circumstances. Go again with Pete Golding again. Golding is a popular replacement. The players seem to like it, but he's never led the team He's never. This is literally the first time we're going to see him as the head coach at Ole Miss in a playoff game here, which is just bizarre on many different levels to think about. But also, you factor in Austin. He's playing against a future conference opponent, a conference rival, with John Summerall, who I've just loved on Twitter, seeing him have like the
Yes.
split house thing at the top and like wearing like different gear for each. I'm like, that's funny. I respect him realizing how funny this is with that. So,
Yeah.
but I will give Tulane this. I mean, they forced 5 turnovers against North Texas in the American Conference Championship game, which helped them, which is one of the things they're going to need. Number one, you got to create turnovers. If you don't create turnovers here, it's not going to happen. Uh, but here's the thing that hurts them. Trinidad Chambliss, one of your favorites this year, has been a great story. 3 interceptions this entire season. 3. He does not turn the ball over. He's efficient throwing the ball. He's really good. So it's going to be tough if they can do that. Plus, you factor in this is the number 3 passing offense in the country in Ole Miss versus the 123rd passing defense in the country in Tulane. So I worry that they might get torched in this one. But if they can create the turnovers, if they can do those things, I give them a fighting chance to make this thing interesting. But let me just say like this. The thing that hurts them, though, is let's remember how bad the passing game was for Tulane in that first matchup. Jake Retzlaff, 5 of 17 for 56 yards in the game. It was not a pretty game for him, and I really don't see that being too much better. So while I think the defense maybe plays better against Ole Miss, I think it's maybe a slow start for the Rebels, but I think they pull away behind Chambliss, efficient passing, and then the running of another favorite of yours, Kewan Lacey. I think Ole Miss, slow start, but they get the win over Tulane.
I'm with you here. You really took the words right out of my mouth. I think the Tulane defense will be good in this game. I think Retzlaff is going to have a better game. I think we've seen the Ole Miss defense kind of slow down in the second half of this season. They're still a great defense. I still really like this Ole Miss defense, but I mean, at the beginning of the year, we were thinking this was going to be one of the best defenses in college football, kind of the way they
Terrible.
started. They haven't had exactly that same impact. I can see Tulane's offense get going and keep this game close. But I think the big thing that'll hurt Ole Miss is to start this game. No Lane Kiffin. I think the play calling is going to be different. The vibe is going to be different. I think the
Yeah.
team might struggle a little bit, but I think they'll get it together. I trust Trinidad Chambliss, like you said, only the 3 interceptions on the year. I trust him to take care of the ball, to keep this offense going. And Kewan Lacey is such a tough guy to stop for 4 quarters of football. And I think that's what gets it done for Ole Miss. This game will be much closer than we saw in the first matchup. I think Tulane will look like a legitimate opponent. I think the doubters will have to sit there and swallow it. This will be a max 14-point game, but I don't think this game is going to be a double-digit final. I really don't. I think they'll be able to keep it close. Um, I like Ole Miss, though. I think the Rebels will win, and I don't think we'll have to worry about necessarily having that conversation about coaching hires and coaching changes.
Here's a
As
question
far as
I want to
talent
ask
goes.
you because I discussed this on another show I was on earlier this week. Say with this one and then the one we're going to talk about, obviously, in a second. Say those 2 games, and it's the fear I have because the big talking heads keep on talking about it. Is there a fear that maybe if they just get like completely wiped out, like 38 nothing, like 45-7, like scores like that? Is there any fear in your mind that we're just like bye bye to any chance they get involved?
I think it's a little bit creeping into my mind. My argument would be, and hopefully this argument would be there for some people, is hey, maybe since both of these teams won their conference championships and these other 2 teams that they're playing didn't play in their conference championships, the fair thing to do is that these 2 teams should have to host these other conference champions should get to host a playoff game. And then I think that's the fair thing to say because I think here's my big argument. I could see a world where Alabama gets routed in Norman because they're playing in Norman in a college football playoff game.
That's fair.
I don't think it's fair to say, oh, Tulane goes to Ole Miss and gets routed. Oh, it's because they're not a good enough football team. How important is home field advantage in college football? Because I think you
Major.
and I and all those big talking heads in college football, maybe the casual fan doesn't realize, but we've been there. Arkansas, Alabama, we were there. How important was
Mm.
the home field advantage to that close ball game? When
Pretty,
I went to
pretty
see
important.
when I went and saw Arkansas and Georgia play in Athens when both teams were ranked super highly.
Ooh.
Guess whose home field advantage decided that game from the first snap of the football game? That
Mm.
Athens crowd was unbelievable. Arkansas had 3 false starts before they snapped the ball for the first time on the first drive of the football game. The game hadn't been played yet, and the home field advantage was crazy. So I think my counterpoint, maybe it gets slept on, maybe nobody argues. Let Tulane host, let James Madison host, and let's see Oregon versus James Madison in Virginia. Let's see Tulane versus Ole Miss in New Orleans. Let's see those games, and
And
then
hey,
we'll
we
talk.
saw that before. Tulane and Ole Miss played New Orleans. If I remember correctly, it came down to like a 50-yard field goal for Ole Miss to win that game to escape with a win.
Yeah,
So,
it's very possible. I think people are sleeping on what these teams are capable of. But no, I think it would be a huge overreach. I think the NCAA would do anything they could to stop it. I think it would be very bad for college football. I don't know. I think your Power Four purists at first will get what they want. I think we could see a lot of these teams stop scheduling Power Four opponents if they're not going to be allowed to play in the playoff. And then Power Four teams don't want to play Power Four teams all season long. They don't. That's why they
mhm.
schedule these teams in the regular season. They don't always win these games against these group of five teams. We've seen that happen where these group of five teams win their non-conference games. But look, the fact of the matter is they want to schedule these teams because it's easy. And if these teams say, well, if we're having to play on our own playoff, then we're going to play our own teams. I think you open up the possibility where I look, does Alabama want to play Power Four opponents all the time? No, they play Mercer in week 13 for crying out loud. So clearly they have no and look, it's not just Alabama. How many SEC teams in week 12, week 13 played Sanford or Mercer or
I
some
mean, it was
nobody
literally
school?
the definition of sleeper week for the entire SEC. It was ridiculous.
Yes, I agree. It's ridiculous. So how if these teams have to start playing? I could see a world where the FCS and these group of five schools just say, if we're going to be this excluded and we just don't have any chance, then we just won't play your game and we'll either go off on our own and form our own thing, which the NCAA has been worrying about for the last half decade, uh,
Mhm.
or we'll just stop playing you. Okay, we can't play with you, then we won't play with you. Because what good does it do James Madison to schedule Power Four opponents if they're playing in a separate playoff?
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so I think it could be opening up a serious issue for the NCAA. So while yes, the talk is getting ridiculous and I'm over it, and I do worry about what could happen in these discussions as we open up to 16 teams. But I think that'd be a crazy move to pull. And I think there's no excuse, especially if you open up to 16 teams, to leave a group of five team out.
I,
There should
I
be
mean,
at least
again,
one group of
here's
five
the
team.
thing that I continue to say: uh, the FCS model, I still think is the ultimate way to go. All conference
I'm with
champions
you.
get in, no matter what. Every single Division One conference
Every
champion gets in,
every
which
every
is
single one.
fine. Make the best from each conference, and then 14 at large bids, and then play them out with all these home games on campus. Hey, you want to know what that's resulted in the FCS semifinals? Obviously, Montana and Montana State, which that's awesome that that's a semifinal
Yeah.
matchup. But the other one is 12 seed Villanova versus unseeded Illinois State. Like that's a semifinal matchup with it. And, it brings up the whole off topic thing about what Joel Klatt said about the NCAA tournament, which Joel Klatt, if I see you, it's on site because of that comment. If I see you, it's on site. So I think the FCS format, because they're just going to continue to go up a little bit, Austin. They'll go 16 up, not enough. We got to go up to 20. No, not enough. It's just going to be repetitive moving up. Like, let's go all the way if we're going to do it.
I agree. I think if we're opening this thing up, every conference champion should get in. Look, I've been for 16 teams for a while, but I'm with you. If we're going to keep opening this thing up, I want to see 10-3 Kennesaw State hosting the Oregon Ducks or hosting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I want to see a world where winning your conference championship means something. You want to keep playing these because look, This year, we got really, really close.
Hmm.
BYU has a little bit of room to be. I still think they have a little bit of room to be upset.
Oh yeah. Oh,
They
absolutely.
they were punished for losing their conference championship game, which was kind of something we were told wasn't going to happen.
Mm,
And it did, and it got Miami in the college football playoff. We're on very thin ice to conference championships not meaning anything. Let's
yep.
go ahead and get some automatic bids for every conference champion, uh, and expand this thing wide open. But let's talk about this last one at 6:30 on Saturday in Eugene at Autzen Stadium. Oregon Ducks hosting James Madison, in a clash 20 and a half point spread, in this one. What are your thoughts on this game? I'm very intrigued by this matchup.
Yeah. I will say, if I had to pick between this one and like Tulane, Ole Miss, which one do you think has the biggest chance for an upset to happen? I would probably say Tulane and Ole Miss for obvious reasons. But the James Madison, look, I'll say what it is. James Madison has been a solid team the entire year. One loss in a really close game with Louisville in the ACC. Their defense has been one of the better ones in the country, obviously, given different, circumstances, different opponents, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Uh, but this is an Oregon team, Austin, who you have pointed out specifically at the start of the year. Great team, but they are a young team still. And a home, you think, oh, we got this. Like we're fired up. We got this. We got this under control easily. And then bang, James Madison can come hit them early because James Madison's got a lot of talent. Alonzo Barnett, if you haven't heard the name, ladies and gentlemen, which I'd be mad if you listen to us and you don't know that name. If you don't know
Just
the
listen.
name, I think you're going to know it on Saturday night if you did not. He is a talented quarterback who, I must say like it is, I fully expect him maybe to follow his coach to UCLA, which if he does, look out, Big Ten. Uh, but let's say it like it is, similar to that talk, James Madison's got to create a few turnovers here and there. If the defense comes ready to play as it has the whole year, then I think it has a chance in this game. But I think there's a little bit of chip on the back of Dan Lanning in Oregon, Austin, with the way last year ended, getting that one seed in the playoff, looking like they were going to run the table. And then Ohio State comes in the Rose Bowl and just destroys them. It's not even a contest from the jump. I think there's a little bit of an edge to Dan Lanning and them going into this thing, especially when you know how healthy they're getting at the wide receiver position. And I'll be honest with you, there's a couple of teams whenever we get to talk about our big bracket, I look at as, playing their best football at the right time of year. I think Oregon's one of them. I think it's similar to Tulane. It's close early in this game, but I think Oregon runs away with this thing in the second half.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oregon, they're kind of getting their feet under them. I think I could also agree, with the fact that I think Dan Lanning and them are gonna have that chip on their shoulder. They're gonna want to, redeem that loss. They 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 were a favorite. They were a favorite to make a run, um, in this tournament, and make something happen last year. So I think, for this team, you kind of expect them to kind of have a big impact.
Hey, and
But here's what
another
I'm
factor, but no, another factor here is remember the coordinators. Will Stein's getting ready to go to Kentucky for Oregon, and then
yeah.
Tosh Lupo, the head coach there, he's going to Cal. He's already been busy recruiting there. So their dual roles is maybe worth watching in this one as well. Maybe they're not 100% locked in on it. Maybe. I mean, that's something else you got to consider.
But I'll say this. I've said it all year, and it's the biggest worry with this Oregon team. It's the inexperience. It's, a lot of guys coming together in a big spotlight for the first time. Dante Moore was at UCLA. While he played good football, he played meaningless football at UCLA, as we've seen over the last 15 to 20 years. That playing football at UCLA, cool to have on the resume, but they're not really playing for anything. You can go out there and play good, that's fine, but you're not playing for anything. Um, you have, guys like Dylan Theinman coming in from Purdue, one of the best defensive players in college football. He was awesome, but he was playing at Purdue. He was playing nothing football at Purdue. They were just getting blown out while he was playing great defense. I think we've seen some of those struggles. And look, if you flash back to Oregon's only loss of the season, 111 yards on the ground for the Indiana Hoosiers, the number one team in the nation. Take it with a grain of salt. Was the number one team in the nation. But look at what Wayne Knight just did for this JMU team. I like what I see from this JMU team at quarterback, at running back. This team has got more veteran experience, a lot of presence, guys that have played under Kurt Cignetti that stuck around, Alonzo Barnett being one of those guys. I'm excited to see James Madison come out here, and I like the Dukes to go into Autzen and upset. I think the
Oh,
veteran
wow.
experience, the ability to run the football, I think they're going to come out and they're going to. I think the big thing I'm caught up with Oregon is they're so worried about getting back in and playing against the big teams and righting that wrong. You got coordinators going this way, coordinators going that way. You got a quarterback thinking about being the number one, number two pick in the draft as a redshirt sophomore. I think there's too many things going on in Eugene right now. James Madison's focused on the goal. They got nothing to lose. They got everybody to shut up. I like the Dukes to go in and take down the Ducks and show why we put Group of Five in the college football playoff.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I respect the move. I respect it. Hey, and purple teams have been Dan Lanning's weakness at points in his career. I'm just going to leave it there. Purple teams have been an issue for him.
Purple's bad. Purple's bad for Dan Lanning. It's nothing against Dan Lanning, nothing against Dante Moore. I like the Oregon Ducks. I like a lot of guys on their team, but I like this James Madison team. I think they're going to come in fired up. They were fired up in that Troy game. I'm excited to see what this team maybe does against the Oregon Ducks. Then on Monday, look, we got the Potato Bowl, the Idaho Potato
Yes.
Bowl in Boise, Idaho. A clash between Washington State and Utah State. Thoughts on this game? Who do you think's going to win?
Can I just say, with all the talk of bowl games and, bowl games being canceled, this and that, can we always say it's always a great thing to see the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, the coach get
Of
fries
course.
dumped on him at the end of the game. It's a classic bowl game, and it's good to see it continue to stick around here. As for the matchup here, this is intriguing. Obviously, the big thing I think with Jimmy Rogers leaving Washington State to go to Iowa State's there, and also Bronco Mendenhall at Utah State. He's been awesome in year one here. I've always loved Bronco Mendenhall as a coach. I kind of think he got a sour ending to his time in Virginia. It's tricky because Washington State. Let's remember they put up two scares against college football playoff participants. They went to Ole Miss and nearly gave them a major upset, and they nearly went to James Madison and ended the Duke's chances of being in the playoff. It's a tricky one. It's really, really tricky. End of the day, though, and it pains me to say because I love Washington State. I'm going to go with Bronco Mendenhall and the Aggies of Utah State to get the win in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl here.
Yeah, I like this game. I think it's going to be close, but I'm going with the Cougs in this one. I like the way this team's looked, and they've had to make some adjustments over the last couple of years, losing a lot of pieces, losing a lot of kind of key guys. You think about guys like John Mateer, Cam Ward, great talents have kind of walked out the door, losing coordinators and really everything under the sun. But still to put together a 6-6 season. I think they've got their feet under them as they're looking ahead into this new era of the Pac-12. I'm going to go with the Cougars in this one.
All
But
right.
look, if you thought that's done, we've got a whole nother week of awesome college football action
Yep.
here, leading up to Christmas and then leading up to New Year's Eve. And that starts next Tuesday on the 23rd. Toledo, Louisville, the Boca Raton Bowl. Man, these bold names never get easier to say, even if I've said them the last 3 years. Toledo, Louisville. Look, Toledo, always one of those teams we talk about in the MAC. The team I projected to win it. They didn't quite get there this year. Louisville has been one of the top teams in the ACC since Jeff Brom got there, but always find a way to kind of get in their way, no matter how far they go. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah. You thought there was maybe hopes for Louisville to do strong things in the ACC after they beat Miami this year. And then they had that long 3-game skid where things were just falling apart, losing to Clemson here and there. And that being said, with all that, Austin, they can still finish with their third consecutive season of 9 or more wins under Jeff Brom during his time at Louisville, which is just awesome seeing. And with Toledo, remember their head coach, longtime head coach Jason Candle, he's off to UConn to be their new head coach, and their longtime defensive coordinator Vince Kearies, he's off to Syracuse. So all kinds of moving pieces here. And if he was still around, I'd give them a chance because Toledo's defense, I think, could be the thing that keeps them in this game. They're fourth nationally in points allowed. But at the end of the day, I think Louisville is the far more engaged team in the matchup. And Jeff Brom gets 9 wins. Once again, I'm picking Louisville to win this game.
I like Louisville too. Look, the season hasn't always gone their way, but I really like the way this offense has looked with Miller Moss. Kind of one of those guys that it felt like was going to be written off after he didn't have the greatest start uh, at USC, and it was tough. He was following up a former Heisman winner and #1 overall pick Caleb Williams.
Right.
But to come into Louisville and kind of come to the guy we started calling the quarterback whisperer here at Louisville, what he's been able to do with some of those options he's had at quarterback the last few years. It's been fun to see. And so I like the way this offense has looked with Miller Moss. I like Louisville to win this game as well. Take a look at the New Orleans Bowl and the Caesar Superdome. We've got Southern Miss versus Western Kentucky, an awesome clash against two teams that if you haven't had a chance to watch, maybe tune into this one because there are a couple fun squads going head to head. Two of my more favorite quarterbacks in college football, and Braylon Braxton and Maverick McAvoy going head to head in this one. So this will just be a quarterback game to watch for me at the very least.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun quarterback game. Look, good news for Southern Miss. You're returning to the postseason for the first time since 2022 after improving from 1-11 to a 7-5 finish. Phenomenal
Charles Huff
turnaround there.
effect.
Yeah, Charles Huff effect. Bad news. Charles Huff is gone. He's off to
Yeah.
Memphis. Then and that I think is something that will happen. So there's some uncertainty entering the game. And Western Kentucky has had that steady leadership under Tyson Helton for a while there at Western Kentucky. They've been really good. I think they've won at least 8 games the last 5 years. I saw some sort of stat about that. Their offense has been a bit erratic at points. It's not consistent, but I think they can lean on their defense to win this game against Southern Miss. I'll pick Western Kentucky to win. We'll go by like 10. I think they can handle this.
Yeah, I like Western Kentucky too. I think Southern Miss is a fun team. I hope they kind of keep it close. But I love how explosive this Western Kentucky offense is. And we kind of talked about it in the preseason. I still liked this team, but a little bit worried about what the offense is going to look like this season with some changes at the coordinator position. But we've seen with the way Maverick McAvoy's played this season that the whole air raid at Western Kentucky hasn't died just yet. So I'm going to go with the Hilltoppers and root for them in this one. 8 o'clock Tuesday, we've got the Frisco Bowl in Frisco, Texas. Ohio Bobcats taking on the UNLV Rebels. Who do you like in this game?
Well, can I just say the quarterback matchup's intriguing here? You got Anthony Calandria going against Timothy Chalamet's favorite quarterback, that'd be Parker Navarro at Ohio. Respect it. But I look at this for both sides. Dan Mullen's had a good first year at UNLV. He's clearly sticking around despite when the rumors were going around. And for Ohio, they had a solid season at 8-4. But then there's all these rumors you hear about their head coach, Brian Smith, being placed on leave. And now the news today that he was fired with cause. I'm getting worried that that's a consistent thing that we're seeing, that coaches are getting fired with cause in college football.
So I guess I spoke too soon.
Yeah.
We did have another coaching issue now that
there's not many details about it. It's just they fired him with cause. And it wasn't, I haven't heard so far. It's not like Bobby Petrino 2.0 that we had last week. As far as I know, it's not like that. As far as I know, it might be worse, honestly, by the time it comes out. I don't know. But I think those allegations there could kind of rock things for Ohio. So I'm going to lean with UNLV and Dan Mullen and them to finish off a good first year there.
I agree. I just like the way UNLV looks. Look, we both thought it was a great idea. Hire Dan Mullen, successful at Florida, even if the fans don't think so. I'm going to use the word successful in his time there at Florida. They were relevant. They were ranked. They were competing not just in the SEC, but in the national picture. In a 12-team playoff year, a couple of those years, I think Kyle Trask's last year, they probably could have made a 12-team playoff. So I like what he's done at UNLV. I think he brings kind of a guy that doesn't just get guys ready in college football, but he sends guys to the next level. I like the way UNLV looks, and while Ohio and Parker Navarro have kind of become a staple in this MAC over the last couple years, went to the championship and won it, I believe, last year.
Yeah.
I think they're a competent team. I like UNLV to take this one.
Hey, and you bring it up with the Florida stuff about Dan Mullen. Let's listen here to all you people on TikTok who want to come after our TikTok talking about the Florida coach and hire and how Billy Napier got wrong there, mainly me. For all you to say Billy got everything he deserved, what is
It's
wrong with you
crazy.
people?
That
What
is
is wrong with you
crazy.
people? He's a freaking human being. I mean, like you don't have to like his coaching style, but for the love of God, when he wins you a game, let the man walk off in peace. I'm not saying he was
Yeah,
perfect, but no, I'll just flat out say, and then you can say it. I think the Florida fans are spoiled brats. I will just go ahead and say that they
agree.
are spoiled brats that have been dealing with great success under coaches for a long time, and now that they're in a stretch of inconsistency, they think we deserve better. We're the Florida Gators, this and that. Why are we hiring John Summerall? Just hiring Billy Napier 2.0. Hey, you know where Urban Meyer came from? Bowling Green, and then eventually Utah there. Hey, you want to know where Steve Spurrier came from? Group of five jobs, and then eventually the Duke head coaching job. You don't just grow these big names on the roots. So quit being spoiled brats and deal with it.
I agree. It's spoiled rotten. And look, we all knew it was Billy Napier's last game. Let the guy walk off to some cheers after winning a bloody football game. And you're so spoiled, you're so rotten that DJ Lagway is done. And I know that that came with meeting with the staff and not really liking where things are
Yeah.
going. But we have this quarterback talent, and he's like, I can't stand being here. He's leaving. Clearly, you're not good enough to him that he wants to stick around. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's all the above when it comes to
Yeah.
Florida fans.
Right.
So enough said on that.
Agreed.
Cal taking on Hawaii and the Hawaii
Woo!
Bowl. This is going to be a fun ball game. Of course, some changes going on at Cal. We'll see kind of how that affects this team. But like you said in last week's episode, starting quarterback already coming back. So that gives you some momentum and some positive hopes coming into this game as you take on a pretty decent Hawaii team.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever it comes to all the non-college football playoff bowl games, this is the one I'm looking forward to the most. I really am because the quarterback plays there. Hawaii's been a fun story this year. Like I said, whenever I was doing my college football playoff or college football rebuild this year, their schedule was good for them. It worked out. They're in a bowl game, and California, like I said, the interim Nick Rolovich has done a good job there. They beat SMU with him in charge, which ultimately led to everything that has transpired to go along with that. And man, this just equals a fun game. Um, Give me I don't know what the over here is. Whenever we do bet of the week, at the end of this episode, I might take the over in this game. It seems like just a fun matchup here. But I'm gonna rely on let's go, let's just have some fun. Let's go game-winning field goal for Hawaii to win it from their kicker, aka the nickname the Tokyo Toe, walks it off for Hawaii in the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve.
I love that. I want to pick Hawaii so bad, but I think Cal has kind of got their feet under them, heading in the right direction as we head into next season. I like Cal to come out and get a big win here in the Hawaii Bowl to close out their season and get them ready for what next season looks like. Then we've got the Game Above Sports Bowl in Detroit, Michigan. They're just making these up
Yeah.
as they
I don't
go.
even I have no idea what game above it. I legit have no idea what that is at all.
Central Michigan versus Northwestern. Some so-so teams clashing in this one. What are your thoughts?
Well, no. I was trying to figure out as I'm talking about the game. I'm currently looking out what is game above currently. So apparently, Game Above is a brand committed to philanthropy, focused on inspiring greatness through sports, entertainment, and youth organizations. Sure, cool.
Sure. Give them a bowl
Whatever.
game.
Yeah, whatever. Uh, this is a tough one for me. If y'all remember, I said it in the preseason. I really love the job and the hiring at Central Michigan for their coaching staff and the new head coach that they brought in for the roster. I really think that they did a great job hiring him. If you haven't seen the story on him, I highly recommend it. I think it's a great hire, and Matt Drinkle there. I think it's going to lead to success there. But Northwestern has been another good story this year. They've handled business really well in the Big Ten. David Braun, man, I tell you what, you remember the situation he got put in as head coach at Northwestern? The job he's done in 2 years there, I think needs to be recognized by more and more people. The job he did coming
Yeah.
from that situation to where it is now. And I want to believe in the Chippewas, but they've struggled against Power Four opponents. And like I said, Northwestern, I think, went through a tougher schedule. I think Central Michigan keeps it close, but I think Northwestern gets the win at the end of the day.
I like Central Michigan in this game. I think they've had a
Hey,
good season. Like you said, I think they played well. Nothing against Northwestern, but I'm rooting for the little guys a little bit this season. And I think, while I agree with you, Northwestern's played a tougher schedule. I think they've also kind of been subject to that tougher schedule
that
with
is also
kind of the
fair.
record that they have. Um, so not that Central Michigan's this great powerhouse team or anything, but I like them to come in and hold their own and take care of business against Northwestern. We've got the Rate Bowl at Chase Field. Some of these names are just lazy. If you've never tuned into a bowl game episode
What?
before, we discuss way too long the names of bowl games, where they come from. Look,
Did
it
this
feels like
used to
every
be the
year
Guaranteed Rate Bowl or what it was? Now it's just the
it's not
Rate Bowl.
guaranteed. It's not guaranteed anymore. We can no longer guarantee your rate. There is a rate, but it is not guaranteed. Is what that's telling me. In Arizona, Phoenix to be exact, Minnesota versus New Mexico. Who do you like in this one?
Can I just say, when it comes to coaching personalities, I think there's not one that will deliver better than this one. We all know what PJ Fleck has done in Minnesota. Row the frickin' boat.
Yes.
If you know, you know. But
Yes.
Jason Eck at New Mexico, a 9-win season in his first year as head coach. Are you kidding me? Phenomenal year there. And so I think the coaching personalities make this fun. And I don't know what it is. Fleck is excellent in bowl games. So I looked this up. PJ Fleck is 6-0 in bowl games as head coach at Minnesota. It's a wild stat. I didn't really know people still kept track of him from all the people that talk about it. You would think that bowls don't matter to some people. But I don't know what it is. Loving the story in New Mexico. Give me the Lobos to win their 10th game. This will be their first season, Austin, winning 10 games in a season since 1982. Give me the Lobos. Why not? Give me the Lobos.
Look, I like the job New Mexico's done, and I would love to see them get to 10 wins, but I have a deep love for PJ Fleck, all things PJ Fleck. And I think the job that he's done at Minnesota overall has been really phenomenal. But this season, playing in a tough Big Ten, to have the season well above expectations, I think, for a lot of people, for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, I like what he's done. I like the Minnesota Golden Gophers to close it out with a Rate Bowl win.
Man, I
Um,
tell you what, can I just say, I still remember all the rumors that were going on about PJ Fleck during the Arkansas coaching search. And everyone's like, man, that'd be such a bad hire. I'd be like, are you kidding me? I
yeah,
would love to row the boat with PJ Fleck. Are you serious? Like, what are you
yeah,
people
no kidding.
talking about?
PJ Fleck, awesome head coach. Love talking about him. I could all day. The sweaters are unreal. Um, then we've got the first responder bowl in Dallas, Texas, UTSA clashing with FIU. Who do you got?
Fun matchup here. Let's give credit Willie Simmons, his first year at Florida International. The turnaround at Pit Bull Stadium. Yes, do not forget they play at Pit Bull Stadium now. Um, and I think they've had a great first year. With them, they had some nice wins. They gained some momentum. But UTSA has Jeff Traylor, which can I just say, I think he's one of the more forgotten great coaches with the job he's done at UTSA there. I've always loved what he's done. And I think they got the talent edge with their quarterback, Owen McCown. I think he's ultimately could be the talent difference. And others, anything, could they be truly motivated after a disappointment this year for some, they say, in the American? I say yes. I think UTSA gets the win in the First Responders Bowl and finishes the year strong.
Yeah, I like UTSA in this game as well. Like you said, Owen McCown's a great quarterback to watch. He's been a blast and he's been super successful at UTSA. So I like them to win this game and close out their season strong. Then we've got a matchup of two of our favorite Cinderellas for the college football playoff
Oh man.
at the end of this season. Pittsburgh taking on East Carolina in the Military Bowl in Annapolis. This is going to be a fun game, but what are your thoughts between these two teams who stole our hearts as they made pushes for the college football playoff?
Man, never forget the 1 week run we had with the East Carolina chaos scenario. Never forget
Yeah,
that 1 week run that we had with it. I ran with it just like you. It was awesome. Uh, but again, if you ask me right now, the better team in the matchup, I would probably lean with Pitt. They finished the year strong. Pitt finished the year
yeah.
really strong, besides the one bad loss to Miami at the end of the year. Mason Heinschettel, their quarterback, the true freshman, I think is a great future there. They got Jakiron Turner coming back. But ECU, man, Caden Hoover or Caden Hauser has been awesome for ECU, and they've been a fun story. Oh, it pains me to pick someone in this game.
Yeah.
I probably would recommend the over. I think these are two fire power offenses. And if I had to pick an offense that I think is going to score more, I'd probably lean Pitt in this one. So I'll pick the Pitt Panthers to get the win here.
I'm going to take East Carolina in this one. I love the job that Caden Hauser's done at quarterback at East Carolina. I think they've been a fun team to watch. And I think they could one last time do the unexpected and pull a Houdini in this one and win the Military Bowl for all of our troops out there. Then on Saturday morning, we've got a clash between two of the most disappointing teams in college football this year. One personally disappointed me, and one disappointed the entire national media, and they had egg on their face. Uh, the Pinstripe Bowl, Penn State, Clemson. Wow, what a joke this year's been for both of these teams.
Yeah, if you had told me Penn State and Clemson are going to play in in a postseason game, I'd be like, okay, cool. So like a semifinal matchup in the CFP or the national championship. No, it's in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. And look, let's just say it like it is. Penn State, I thought, had a great finish to the year. Both teams, despite the bad starts, had good finishes to the year. Um, and, obviously, there's some stuff. Look, let's say like it is. Our opinions of Dabo Sweeney on here have not been the most positive for obvious reasons. We all know what it is. We'll just leave it at that. But, Austin, you want to know something I learned as we are building up to this game, which is another reason I'm going to pick Penn State, besides I kind of think they'll be the better team in the matchup. I learned that our favorite Dabo Sweeney is a Yankees fan.
Oh,
So
boo.
get him out of here. We're not rooting for the Yankees in this house.
No.
No, give me Penn State. Penn State finishes the year strong and builds something positive for Matt Campbell coming in.
Yeah, I don't like Clemson. And if you had told me at the beginning of the year, Penn State and Clemson would have met in the postseason, I haven't been high on a Clemson team in a few years. I would have said, "Man, how bad did Penn State's season go?" That's what I would have said, and I would have been right
Yeah.
because man, Clemson has just not put together a good product, in my opinion, in a few years. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Penn State in this game. I think they're the better team. I think they're finally playing with some rhythm. I think that's awesome. But yeah, just have not been in on Clemson. Can't believe Yankee Stadium gets to have a bowl game. It's actually disgusting. Makes no sense. Speaking of baseball field bowl games, we've got the Fenway Bowl at Fenway Park in Boston. Clash between Army and UConn, two of my darlings clashing against each other in this one. Two teams I really like to watch play football.
Yeah, I always love this game at Fenway Park because the one thing I know, Austin, both sidelines are on the same side of the field because there's not enough room on the other side for
Yeah.
a sideline. So that always makes it funny to just look at this game for a million reasons there. Obviously, Jim Mora going to Colorado State. Army's been interesting this year. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm kind of surprised Army ended up making a bowl game this year, but they were able to get to 6 wins. So I give them credit to that. Tip of the cap. But I've loved this story for UConn, and they have a chance, Austin. If they win this game, it'd be their first 10-win season in the history of their program there. So why not root for the Huskies in them? Give me UConn to win this game. Joe Fagano goes out and makes more history at UConn by being the quarterback for their first 10-win season. They get the win here.
Man, I love Joe Fagano. I love UConn. I hope they get to 10 wins. But man, do I love triple option football. I'm
Yeah.
going with Army. Support the troops to win the Fenway Bowl. Sadly, that's where I have to lean.
All
Then
right,
we
let's
are
talk about
picking.
the Super Bowl here. We got the Super
I,
Bowl
I
here.
I was just about to say this is the real national championship game. This is what we all play for. We will see another sacrifice this year. The Pop Tarts Bowl at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. The BYU Cougars take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in an awesome clash between two fun teams from this
hmm
season as they battle to decide which Pop Tart we sacrifice this year.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what you do on that Saturday, December 27th, just tune in. Just tune in. Must watch television. The whole game is must watch, especially the post game, but the whole game is must watch television. Um,
This is
man,
the
oh man,
last
the
Christmas
quarter,
present you get to unwrap. It's 2 days after Christmas, and you get to unwrap it, and it's beautiful.
yes, absolutely. Love the quarterback matchup in this game. Haynes
Oh,
King,
yeah.
his final game. We all know and love him here. Bear Bachmeyer, one of the more impressive freshman stories given the circumstances and just an awesome name there. Two
Yeah.
great coaches in Kalani Sitake and Brent Key, who both just inked contract extensions to stick around. This is fun. This is a fun matchup. I really don't know which way I'm going to lean, but for one last time, I've decided give me Haynes King and Georgia Tech. For one last time,
Yes.
Austin. We don't
Yes.
know if Haynes King is good, but what is he? What is he?
He's he's a dog. He's a dog. Thank you. I was just about to say it if you didn't. Georgia Tech all the way. I put my entire life savings on Haynes King's final game that he goes out with a bang. Oh my goodness, it's going to be teary-eyed when he walks off the field for the last time. I know that much.
You hope to
But
see,
look,
you hope his last image is him picking the Pop Tart that gets sacrificed.
I
You hope
know
so.
we both think he's going to be the MVP. We both hope he's going to be the MVP. Which Pop Tart is he picking though? That's the important question.
Oh,
What's your pick? What's your pick for Pop Tart? Which Pop Tarts he sending?
oh, well, I guess it depends on which ones are sacrificed because they add in new ones every single year. Okay, wait. So we
Ah,
had strawberry, obviously the first year. What was the one last year? I need to look up what the flavor
last
was
year's
last
cinnamon
year.
roll was the one that was sacrificed. I'm going to see if I can figure out which one they're going to sacrifice.
Yeah. um, it's tough. I'm thinking here. There's a lot of good flavors that could be available here. I mean, you know what? Maybe it depends on who wins the game. Like if BYU wins, maybe they do like the blueberry one, for BYU or something. I'm trying to think of one for Georgia Tech
Oh,
wins. Oh, did you find it?
okay, yeah. So it's oh, they're doing teams this year. Uh
Oh,
oh, so oh, the fans get to decide which Pop Tart goes to
yes.
mouth heaven. It's going to be live fan voting.
Oh, that's
So frosted
beautiful.
strawberry and frosted cinnamon roll are the past sacrifices, but it's two teams. It's Team Sprinkles, which is made up of protein slam and strawberry, frosted cherry, and frosty cookies and cream, versus Team Swirls, frosted chocolate chip cookie dough, frosted wild berry, and frosted hot fudge sundae. Oh my good! I'll tell you right
This is
now.
this.
I'm going.
How did they make this better? They make this game better every single year. We get to determine
I,
who gets sacrificed.
I am going. I'm going for Team Swirls. I'm gonna have to get my hands on one of these chocolate chip cookie dough Pop Tarts
I know that
because
was
I
that
didn't.
was me. That was my thinking too. Oh, oh,
Where
that's
do I find
awesome.
one of these?
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're at Walmart right now. I'm going to Walmart right after this, just in case you're curious.
Well, man, this is an awesome. This is going to be awesome, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't watch any of the college football playoff, that's fine. This is your national championship. Just make sure you don't miss this game.
Yeah, especially since we're sacrificing teams of Pop Tarts. So
Oh,
many Pop Tarts are going to be sacrificed and go to mouth heaven. It really is a spiritual experience
it
to
really
watch
is.
the end of the Pop Tarts Bowl. Um, the, let's move on to the Arizona Bowl between Miami of Ohio and Fresno State, two teams we both really liked this year. What are your thoughts on this ball game?
Well, as the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl to you, thank you very much.
Boo, I don't care about Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, it's a major step down from the last bowl game. Look, I think both teams are evenly matched here. Uh, let's remember Fresno State's new coach, Matt Entz, won two national championships and North Dakota State the last couple of years. But I've been a fan of this Miami, Ohio defense, and I know their offense has just been a disaster, but I'm hoping their defense can slow down this offense in Fresno State, and I'm going to hope Miami, Ohio somehow finds a way to win this game.
Yeah, I like Fresno State. I've liked them for the last few years, but this Miami of Ohio team is consistent. They're good. They're always at the top of the MAC. I like them to win this game and close out their season on the CW in the Arizona Bowl.
Gotta love it.
Then we've got North Texas taking on San Diego State in the New Mexico Bowl uh, at in Albuquerque, New Mexico, not the capital of New Mexico, in case you were curious. Um, But this is going to be a clash between two interesting teams. A little trivia question for you: what is the capital of New Mexico? I know
I'm
you know.
literally looking it up right now on Google. I was literally about to look. I was like, whenever he said it's not, I'm like, wait a minute, it's not.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, I taught kids like literally a day or two ago, and I can't figure out what the capital of New Mexico
I
is.
teach kids, and I was teaching kids the capital state capitals the other day. So, well,
What
actually,
I legit do
in
not
a
know.
few
What is
months.
the capital of New Mexico? I legit have no idea.
Santa Fe. That would have been my second guess, but I
Ah,
could have
okay, wait, that makes
sworn.
sense. Okay, that makes sense. It just threw me off whenever you said that Albuquerque one. I'm like, wait a minute, it's. I was just. You could probably go back whenever you watch it on replay. The second you say that, I go, wait a minute, wait a
Yeah.
minute. But as
Um,
far as the game goes, I want to root for North Texas, but obviously coaching staff's gone. Andrew Mestamaker is in the portal. It's I want to root for North Texas, but I think San Diego State's going to find a way because they're the more complete team right now. And their defense, I think, maybe gives them a chance to slow down North Texas and these backups up enough where San Diego State can win the game.
although a lot's changing in North Texas, for one last time, I'm going to root for the Mean Green to go out on top. A ranked top 25 team. They've earned it. I'd like to see them close out the season. But yes, this is going to be a tough, close game with all that's going on for the Mean Green. By the way, I'm sure we've had this discussion on here before. It's just coming to me now looking at the logo. What on earth do the Mean Green and this bird logo have to do with each other?
Yeah, you got me there. Whenever, because obviously, for those of you who don't know, the Mean Green, that is the nickname given because of Joe Green, the Steelers' legendary defensive lineman who went to North Texas. So, what was their mascot? Maybe it has something to do with their mascot before they switched to the Mean Green, because they had to have
Yeah,
been something whenever Joe Green was there.
maybe they were like the Falcons or the Eagles or something.
Oh, the
While you look that
Eagles. You're
up,
right. Before Mean
okay,
Green, they were the Eagles. So maybe that's where it kind of gets that. Maybe I
yeah,
really
maybe
don't
that's
know for
it.
sure though.
So maybe they just kept the logo because they didn't want to make like Joe Green their mascot.
I mean, that's
Um,
fair. I don't know if they just want a giant picture of Joe Green in midfield. I mean,
yeah.
that'd be cool. I would enjoy it personally as a Steeler fan.
I
I'd
also
enjoy
think
it.
it pays nice homage to the university's past with the nickname being the Mean Green, but then the logo still being your old logo or your old
Yeah.
mascot. I think that works. Then we've got the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida, between the Virginia Cavaliers and the Missouri Tigers. Who do you like in this ball game?
Well, fun fact: a name that I heard that was kind of funny. Someone said keep an eye on Eli Drinkwitz for the Michigan job, which that would be Quite interesting
Interesting.
if that happened. I'm not going to say if it's good or bad. I'll just leave it at it be interesting if that's who they ended up having to go with. But intriguing for both sides here. Tony Elliott, what a job he's done in Virginia this year. They were this close to getting into that CFP. But I tell you what, a guy who I've loved watching this year, as much as it pains me to watch him for Missouri, is Ahmad Hardy. He's been one of my favorite running backs
Yeah.
in the entire country this year. And I just don't know if Virginia defense is going to have an answer to slow him down enough for them to win this game. So as unfortunate as it is, because I don't want to pick them, I'm going to pick Missouri to win this game.
Yeah, I like the season Virginia's had. I'd love to pick him to win this game. My big thing is Virginia was ACC good. They weren't SEC good. And
Mm,
so I think clashing with a team that was, I think, really good in the SEC, just injuries kind of came up at a bad time. And the weird schedule where they played like a bunch of road games in a row,
right.
um, probably didn't help things for Missouri.
No.
But yeah, Ahmad Hardy, even if Ahmad Hardy, you find a way to slow him down, you've still got to also shut down Bo Prabula and kind of the good receiving core that they've got out there in Missouri. I think that's been something that I've been really impressed with Eli Drinkowitz over these last few years is the talent at wide receiver they've been bringing in. You think like Luther Burden and the kind of
Right.
season he had, but they've had some really good receivers coming through Missouri as of late. Then we've got the Texas Bowl in NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, where the Houston Cougars take on the LSU Tigers. Thoughts on this bowl game?
Man, oh man. It'll be interesting. I think it's a lower scoring game because remember Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator at LSU, he's sticking around to be Lane Kiffin's defensive coordinator. Major W for Lane Kiffin being able to pull that off, if we're just being honest there. So I think it's a
Yeah.
lower scoring game, but the LSU offense, Austin, like we've said all year, the LSU offense isn't there. And with it being in the game being played in Houston, Texas, at the Texan Stadium, I think that location and motivation swings the arrow towards Houston in this game. I'll pick them to win the game here.
Yeah. Will Lane Kiffin be coaching in this game? Is that going to happen? Do we know?
I would love if it
Um,
did. It'd be entertaining if it did.
yeah, it would be. I would say it'd be cool to see. It wouldn't really change what I was going to pick. I was going to go with this game in Houston. Houston Cougars had the better season. I think they're a much better team than the LSU Tiger as it currently stands. I'd like to see Connor Weigman potentially go out of his college football career with a win against an SEC opponent, especially with everything that he was supposed to do in the SEC. I think it would kind of be a fun end for him, especially since he really kind of found his groove
Yeah.
here with Houston.
I was about to
Last
say
game we're gonna
what
pick.
this is his last game. This is his last year, correct? As far as I know, right?
I believe he's a fifth year guy. I mean, technically he could try to apply for another year, but I haven't heard that he will. I've kind of just figured it'd be
I was about
the
to say
end.
I couldn't remember if this was his last year or not because I get him mixed up. Him and freaking Max Johnson, which how about him entering the portal and trying to get another year? And TJ Finley too. The TJ Finley one actually made me angry. The TJ Finley one actually made me angry.
I saw TJ Finley and it I here's my thing with TJ Finley. At least he's like a decent quarterback because like I get it there, but it's like when do we call it quits? My thing with Max Johnson is you have played for about a billion different teams and you have not played good football on a single football team. At this point, I don't even care if he gets another year of eligibility. What team is going, I need Max Johnson? What team is saying that?
You want my honest opinion? He screams future Minnesota Golden Gopher quarterback. With that kind of
PJ,
offense where they just
PJ,
run the ball and focus on not a lot of passing, I think he would probably fit well there if I'm being honest. But they already
what?
got a freshman though. He's going to be a Big Ten quarterback, is my
Yeah,
prediction. Iowa Hawkeye, maybe.
maybe. PJ, look, if you're looking for a guy with some eligibility just to hand the ball off, I got 4 years. I got 4 years, and I'd love to play for PJ Fleck. I'll come out there and hand the ball off.
Gladly.
If don't dive in. If you want a 24-year-old quarterback, you know where to go. You know where to go. That's all I'm saying. Um, Final game we're gonna pick here Monday, the 29th of December. We've got the Birmingham Bowl and Protective Stadium in Birmingham, Alabama. Georgia Southern takes on App State. Look, App State kind of quiet after the last couple of years of making a lot of noise against some of those ranked teams and what have you. Um, they kind of had a quieter year, still bowl eligible, and Georgia Southern's kind of had a big turnaround this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is intriguing. For those of you who don't know, this was the bowl game that was the conundrum from all the teams backing out because Georgia Southern was in. All these teams were backing out on who they were on playing them. And then ultimately, 5 and 7 App State's like, yeah, we'll play them again. Conference opponent, we'll play them again.
Yeah.
So it's fun story there. Georgia Southern beat them 25-23 earlier this year. So you know what? Screw it. Redemption story here. App State gets their revenge and they beat Georgia Southern. That's why they scheduled. They wanted the revenge from the
They
close
want the
loss.
revenge.
App State finds a way to win.
I think I like Georgia Southern. I like the turnaround they've had. I'm going to root for them to go ahead and close out the season with a bowl win. I think it'd be fun for them. But let's get to this college football playoff. Look, we talked about our first round games, made our first round projections, but we're going to go down the line here and wrap it up and give you our full on college football playoff predictions here. Our first game of the semifinals, just looking at the bracket, that'd be Texas Tech versus the winner of Oregon, James Madison. You would have Oregon there. I have James Madison there. Who do you think wins that game?
So this is a matchup where, again, I think the more experience for Oregon can ultimately help them. Plus, I think the Texas Tech defense can slow them down, but this Oregon defense is good too. Or it comes down to which quarterback play do I trust more, Brennan Morton or Dante Moore? And honestly, I trust Dante Moore here in this matchup. I think if Texas Tech's offense just maybe is the biggest question mark here with it. So I'm going to pick Oregon to beat Texas Tech and get the win here and get to the semifinals.
With James Madison coming here, I think being the underdog and riding high is only going to get you so far, especially you're playing in the Orange Bowl, taking on Texas Tech. Best team money can buy. I like that team to go ahead and make it to the semifinals of this college football playoff. Give me the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Then in our next game, we both got number 8 Oklahoma taking on number 1 Indiana. Thoughts on this ball game?
So it's weird, and maybe you can understand whenever I say this. It's weird. So it feels like with this game with Indiana Oklahoma, I feel more confident in Indiana playing against Oklahoma than I do if Indiana played Alabama. We got an appearance here. We haven't had an appearance in a while.
I know. He was begging to get up in my lap, though.
But I don't know what I feel like. Bama played Indiana would be a lot closer for some reason, or maybe a better chance. I don't know what that is, just in my mind there. Um,
Yeah.
but I think Indiana will be the one that ultimately ends up winning the game. I think that just their offense will do enough to beat Oklahoma and them in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Indiana is just I really don't think either team that plays Indiana is going to fare that well. I think we've seen kind of a good, awesome team with Kurt Signetti, with the now Heisman Fernando Mendoza. Shout out Fernando Mendoza and that Heisman. Absolutely deserved it, even though obviously you knew I was hoping somehow, some way Jeremiah Love would end up taking
Right,
that away
right.
home. I think Mendoza is the deserving. Hey, this isn't about you, right?
Ziggy, who wins the Natty? You gonna go with the dogs? Is that your pick?
He's not a Georgia fan. Any
Ah,
dog that's not him, he does not root for. So I think he'll
oh,
be picking against the Georgia Bulldogs, if anything. But yeah, I would take Indiana in this game. Speaking of the dogs, and speaking of Ziggy trying to get onto the table right now, um, we've got both of us have Ole Miss versus Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. Who's your pick to win that Sugar Bowl rematch from
uh,
this season?
yeah, rematch from a shootout the first time these two teams played. Look, I think this is maybe where not having Lane Kiffin on the staff kind of comes back to hurt Ole Miss in this game. I think Georgia's playing its best football of the year, and I think they handle business and they win this game in the Sugar Bowl.
I'm going to go against you on this one. I think if Ole Miss
Ooh.
can really shake off the dust of not having Lane Kiffin and get into a groove against this Tulane team, which again, I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think we will start to see these guys kind of find their rhythm and their flow within this new coaching in the game plan. I think they can go out and they can clash and they can face off against a good, talented, albeit scary Georgia Bulldogs team. It's not going to be an easy game, but I think they've got the talent and I think they've got the offense that can match Georgia and give their defense some fits. I like the Ole Miss Rebels to win this matchup against the Georgia Bulldogs.
All right. All right.
Final game. I believe you took Miami in this game. I took Texas A&M, clashing against Ohio State. Who do you like in this one?
Listen, I think the Miami defense gives them a great chance. Another low scoring game here, I think. But at the end of the day, Miami is playing a much tougher defense than A&M in this Ohio State unit, who again has not given up more than 16 points in a game this year. I think they forced a couple turnovers into Carson Beck. I think the Buckeyes handle business here.
I think if this game was being played in Columbus, I'd like Ohio State to win this game. But to me, while Julian Sayin was a Heisman finalist, I don't know that I was really there for that. I kind
I
of
mean,
get why.
Jacob Rodriguez got more first place votes than him
Yeah,
for the Heisman.
I think he had a great season, and I'm not going to dog Julian Sayin. I don't think he had a Heisman top four finishing season. I
I don't
just
agree.
don't. And I think not necessarily in the Heisman landscape, but I think just in general, I think Marcel Reed's a more explosive, more impactful, and more talented quarterback option. I don't think this game will solely be decided by quarterback play. These are two very talented teams, but I think if Texas A&M can get over the hump of playing against a team like Miami and playing that defense, we've seen that even if you don't score over the 16, 17 points against Ohio State, they can be beat. And I think
Yep.
Marcel Reed's found a way to get the job done. Again, I might harp on this a little bit, but Texas A&M, they get it done in pretty much any situation. They found a way to get it done this season. I like them to come out and take down the Buckeyes in a close one in the Cotton Bowl.
All right.
Um, let's swing it down to the semifinals now, where we'd have the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, which would be a clash between Indiana and Texas Tech for me, and Oregon and Indiana for you. What are your thoughts in that kind of matchup, Peach Bowl?
So in mine, it's a rematch, obviously from the first matchup this year. Um, I think both teams are so evenly matched up that this is going to be a great game, no matter what. It, it's a tricky one for me. It's a tricky one for me. I have my doubts though for Indiana going into this, and it has to do losing some key pieces on the defensive line for the season with injuries. I think could hurt them in this game. Plus, I'll be honest with you, if Dan Lanning gets to play it twice, he'll at least, I think, split it. So give me Oregon to upset Indiana in the semifinals here. I think their defense bit makes the difference in the game more, and they can run the ball better with some defensive line pieces out for the year for Indiana. So yeah, I'm going to pick Oregon to upset Indiana and get to the national championship game.
I'm in a similar boat with you. I like Indiana. I like what they've done this season. I think Texas Tech can give them something they really haven't seen this season, a really good dominant run game that can kind of help control this tempo, as well as this great defense. I think could offer some challenges for this team, even though we've seen how great Mendoza and the squad have been. I like Texas Tech to win the Peach Bowl and go to the national championship.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Then you've got a clash between Georgia and Ohio State, and I've got a clash between Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Thoughts on this game in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl?
Man, it's always fun when we compare them like side by side, and you're like,
Yeah,
in this matchup, I've got two completely different teams, and you've got them in this one. It's just funny to think about here. For me, Ohio State and Georgia, if this matchup happens, I think it'll be must-watch television because I think these are two
yeah.
extremely talented teams, two great coaching staffs. Man, oh man, it's a tough one. It's a coin flip for me. But kind of what he said with Julian saying, if I had to pick at the start of the year, if you would have told me I had to pick between Julian Sayin and Gunnar Stockton at quarterback in this game, I would have probably picked Julian Sain, even though he was a freshman. I would have picked him. But
Yeah,
Gunnar Stockton has continued to prove me wrong, be efficient. This
agreed.
Georgia defense is getting pressure on the quarterback, and the running game is there with Nate Frazier in them. So you know what? Low scoring affair, maybe another 13-10 final. Who knows? I'm going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs to beat Ohio State and get to that national championship game.
I like that. And my matchup, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, it's going to be, I think it'd be a really fun offensive game
Yeah.
between these two units. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the defense I trust a little bit more. Maybe one that's a little less consistent, but has the potential to make the bigger plays. And that's the Texas A&M Aggies. So I've got the Aggies heading down to the national championship to take on Texas Tech for an all-Texas affair.
It's an all Texas national championship in Miami, Florida.
And
How
Miami,
unfortunate.
Florida.
How unfortunate. But for my national championship, I got Oregon and Georgia. Ironically, Austin, this was my preseason national championship pick last year.
Yeah.
When because I was like, I feel like I picked this before, and it turns out I did. And this matchup I think is intriguing for both sides. I think line of scrimmage play matches up well. Quarterback play I think is pretty even. But Austin, if you remember what I said it whenever we did our reaction to the selections. I said if I was a team in this playoff, I would not want to face Georgia right now. I think again the defensive line's playing its best. Gunnar Stockton's being efficient, the running the ball well, and the big thing here is Kirby is not going to let them if they get to the national championship come up short. Give me
Yeah.
Georgia to beat Oregon in the national championship. Sorry, Ziggy. I know you don't like dogs, but I got the Georgia Bulldogs coming out on top in this national championship.
He just put his head down in pure disbelief. He can't even comprehend what you're saying. In his mind, there's no dog better than this dog. Um, so that's what he has to say. But am I all Texas affair between Texas Tech and Texas A&M? I think Texas Tech's defense presents the biggest challenge. I think that Marcel Reed and Texas A&M's offense has seen all year. If there's anybody that can force Marcel Reed to make mistakes, it's the mustache crew with this fierce defensive line. I like Texas Tech's defense to control this game, and the Red Raiders, the best team that money can buy, bring home a national championship and change the landscape of college football and the power conferences as we know it.
Wow. I mean, how about that? You got Texas Tech, you got Georgia, not picking one of the top two seeds. Again, remember last year, ladies and gentlemen, it was not top seeds matching up in the Natty either. Will we see that follow
Yeah,
suit this year?
yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. And look, Drake Toll, who claims to be a consistent listener of the podcast, that was for you. You and the Locked On Big 12. I've got Texas Tech winning this national championship. But
All right.
let's go into our bet of the week for the next couple of games this
I
bowl
guess it couldn't
season.
really be bet of the weeks because it's really bets
Yeah,
over. It's a bet of the week from over 2 weeks of games, if we're being honest.
bet of the weeks. I'm fine with that. Where do you lean with your bet of the weeks?
So I feel like if I'm going to make a bet, there's a lot of fun ones here. But I mean, I said it word for word on here, Austin. I said I'll probably be watching the game on Friday while I'm calling basketball, and I'm probably expecting a low scoring affair. Give me Alabama, Oklahoma under 40 and a half. I just don't see a world where there's 41 or more points scored in this game. Maybe 40, but I don't see a
Yeah.
world where more than 41 points are scored in this game.
I'm with you. I like that one. I think you're completely on that. And you're going with college football playoff bet. I've got college football playoff bets as well. I like James Madison and Tulane to cover their stupid, ridiculous spreads. I
Ooh.
would like both those teams plus 17 and a half and plus 20 and a half, respectively. I think it's disrespectful and it's egregious. We just watched Alabama get blown out in the SEC championship game, and they're a 1.5 point favorite, I believe, against Oklahoma. I think that's disgusting and honestly despicable to have two conference champions with that kind of spread. No, they're a 1.5 point underdog. I still
Yeah.
think it's ridiculous to have them as a
I
one.
think they opened up as a favorite, but it's gone Oklahoma's way since then.
I just think that that's ridiculous and absurd. But that's where it stands. And now Oregon is minus 21, so they've gotten another half a point in their favor. But
Okay.
I would
I
take
like
those spreads.
All right. So hey, I think that's fair with that. You know what? I'll make one pick for a non college football playoff game. Let's get one normal bowl game pick in here. You know what? In all honesty, one I really like, give me UNLV -5 against Ohio. I think with all that drama going on there at Ohio, I think you're going to see some issues there. Give me UNLV -5 against Ohio. I think UNLV will destroy Ohio in this game.
I like it. I like it. That's going to do it for us here at the Bold Take Podcast. We've caught you up on college football bowl games. We've talked about the college football playoff. We've given you our undoubtedly unwrong uh, projections here for the college football playoff. Um, and so now it's just left for the games to be played. Enjoy bowl season. Enjoy your Christmas, and we'll be back with you to talk the second round of the college football playoff at the Bull Take Podcast. That's Austin Wader. I'm Austin Hill, and we want to thank you for listening.